so excited to be here with a designer that I just love talking to because this is honestly my favorite show on TV and I miss it so much. Please welcome back to the podcast, Kasia Walicka-Maimone. How are you, Kasia? So good to see you.
So great to see you, Spencer. It's great to be back on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. We finished filming yesterday, season 4. Everybody's wiped out, but very, very happy and thrilled. We are thrilled to accomplish this enormous season. As you see, empty studio, we are cleaning it out, and it's definitely a sense of accomplishment. And yeah, it's very special.
Well, I know we're all dying to see it, so I'm happy, but also I feel like I will try to be quick so you could get to your nap because I know you all deserve it. Because it's
I just had a nap. Several of us had naps. We're like, crap.
Because there's a lot of costumes in this show, so I don't think people understand how much of a task it is. Well, let's get into it. So first, I have to just say congratulations on the recent Emmy nomination. This is your second with the Gilded Age, on top of 3 CDG nominations as well. I mean, this show is just a rocket ship. And it feels like the show's getting even more popular each season. I mean, season 3, I was talking to people all the time about Gilded Age. It felt like it. And it didn't feel like that the first season. You know, now the secret's out. Everyone's watching it. So how does it feel to see so many people connecting to the costumes that you and your crew are putting together?
We are thrilled to receive the nomination. Thrilled because you just never know whether what you are working on, what you're producing, and working so hard, whether it resonates with people. It's also, you know, it's tricky. There are so many designers doing so much of fabulous work and incredible teams. So who gets nominated? It's just so tricky because sometimes there's plenty of amazing shows. Yeah. So I always take it with a little bit of grain of salt of like who is going to be nominated, because there's so much amazing work out there and we have so much respect for fellow designers and teams. But it's, of course, so thrilling to get a nomination. It's just so wonderful because I think it's really important for the whole team to know that we resonate with that our work that we work so hard on, that resonates with people and resonates with fellow filmmakers and resonates with audiences. It's just wonderful. It's an extra bonus. I always say it's an extra bonus because I do feel that the most important thing is the process. And right. We do love the process so much. The studio is full of people who are, between all of us, we have hundreds of years of experience, probably, if you counted it. If you added experiences between theater, Metropolitan Opera, films, Broadway, off-Broadway, there's so much experience in this room. So I think that because people are so experienced, there's that layer of just doing your craft and having fun and really enjoying this. So there's so much laughter and there's so much good humor in the studio, and people keep coming back to this project, which I feel like we became a family. After a few years, we became this big family. It's really a privilege to be part of this like amazing environment.
Yeah. And that fun and excitement really seems to translate onto screen. We could all feel it when we're watching it. And now that
great.
You have,
I was like, this season I was saying, we're just going to have fun.
yeah, which I love that. Yeah. And with that, now that you have 3 seasons behind you plus a 4th on the way, as the series continues, we like to talk about like never stop learning. Do you feel like you and your team are still taking in new research and understandings about the period as you continue, or do you feel like we're all maxed out, we have all the research we need?
No, I think that it's the privilege of a job like this is that we have the chance to learn deeper and deeper and deeper. And we have in our library, we have about 50,000 images, and that library keeps growing. We slowly go forward with our time, so we continuously keep updating our library. There's also continuously more research resurfacing. I think that also Gilded Age created so much excitement between audiences, and people, I think, are diving into their libraries and sharing their libraries more. So we are always surprised how much more new research we have. And for me as a designer, I feel like it's just a giant learning process. I think that I always have this time that I have to learn each project, and
Hmm.
it's usually on film. It's about you have about 5 weeks to learn the language of the material that you're representing. But here I have this incredible privilege of learning the history of New York, learning the history of the humans in that we portraying, learning the history of uh, events that happened in our time period, and continuously studying our library. So I think it's an endless growing process, and I love this process. I think that research is just one of the most exciting parts of our process as we are creating visual language, and I think it's really a privileged place to be able to return to the same material over and over again to study deeper.
I mean, just for being the nerds at home too, it's exciting to be able to look at colors and patterns and the silhouettes and be able to go back to our own books, like you said, and be like, oh yeah, that is what they did. That's so weird and crazy. I love it. So let's talk about season 3. I know it's been a minute, but so we'll just try to do a few check-ins here and there before we get to the big wedding, which I know is what everyone wants to talk about. But at the beginning of season 3, one thing that I really loved, which was kind of new and exciting, was we get to see weather and climate in the Gilded Age season 3, which was a little different. We that first episode starts with everyone walking in the snow, which was different, and then to that contrast, we got to see George and Larry in Arizona, which
Yeah.
is hot and sweaty and dirty. So taking all that into consideration, I mean, was this an exciting challenge for you and your crew to be able to like, hey, we really got to change how we think here with all these layers or lack thereof?
Yes, we definitely it's definitely that element of weather is definitely very challenging with this period clothing, because first of all, we've shot primarily in kind of that non-specific weather period from late spring to early fall. So we don't
Yeah.
have that many outer layers. So anything that is different than that, we have to create stocks that represent the stocks of the weather, which is winter. So we had to create specifically stocks for the winter scenes, which is not our regular stock. And then again, the Wild West, it's a completely different vocabulary. It was
Yeah.
really fun. So, we all come from theater and films. We like alternate realities of humanity. We like the different dimensions of human journeys. So it's really fun to go into cowboys and Wild West and represent humanity as it was in that period. That is not just the New York that we know it from Gilded Age. I think that that's so exciting about this show, that is continuously dives into pockets of history and pockets of events, that gives us a chance to dive into the different dimensions of society of that period.
Yeah, the scope just feels like it's getting larger and larger each
Yeah.
season.
Just wait till you season 4.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm dying to
Yeah.
ask you, but I won't. So let's check in with Peggy Scott and her new man, Dr. William Kirkland, who I just love that pairing. One thing I found really interesting was the contrast between the Scotts and the Kirklands. It feels very sharp at times because when I look at the Kirklands, especially Elizabeth Kirkland, I mean, I sense this conservative, a bit of a stuffier quality to her compared to when you see, young Peggy, who just really seems to be at the top of her game sometimes. I mean, was that a purposeful kind of contrast you try to draw between these two families?
Absolutely. I mean, I react to what's on the page. I mean, the characters were written so beautifully, so clearly. That plot line between the two families was quite engaging, and I try to represent that difference between of like the way we portray the differences between Agnes and the world and Mrs. Astor. There's just differences and different habits and different traditions, and Mrs. Kirkland comes from much more conservative background and much more conservative visual likes, and uh, I think I felt like it was my job to capture that more traditional approach. And she's also from Newport. She mainly lives in Newport. So
Yeah.
I think that that's also gave this chance of creating the worlds very in a different approach the worlds very differently, but not necessarily side to side.
Yeah, those are two characters, and I'm excited to see where the two where this beautiful couple goes next. I'm sure Peggy. I always love seeing what Peggy's wearing. That's one of my favorite characters. Other two favorite characters though has to be Ada Brooks or Ada Forte, and Agnes Van Ryn. Ada ends up becoming the head of the household this season, but she's also in a state of mourning. So how did that overall dynamic shift alter the way these two sisters present themselves this season?
Yeah, there is a shift in financial responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So Ada holds the keys to the money, and Agnes, I think, is in shock still
Yeah.
of what happened in the family, and the money is spent very differently. So Ada and Ada is in mourning, but we strategized and we planned that Ada, at the beginning we see her in full mourning, then she goes into half mourning, which is the colors. Slowly we introduce the purples and grays and break the full black just to give a variation of Ada, but it also comes with restriction of abundance. So both the whole household is all of a sudden much less luscious like in previous seasons, because Ada, because of her mourning, she is in much more restricted vocabulary of clothing, and it would be just inappropriate to keep buying clothes in mourning.
Yeah.
Several changes, and she's careful how she gives money to Agnes. So that household actually, I repeated several dresses from previous seasons, and very much reflected of what was on the page, which is a house in mourning with switch of powers of direction of money.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely really had a big effect on the household. You could just kind of feel it walking around. But I'm excited to see where Ada and Agnes go in the next season. Really happy for the both of them because I really liked how season 3 ended. Let's talk about the main event, the episode Marriage is a Gamble, which is also the episode you all were nominated for. In this season, we see Gladys marry Hector, the Duke of Buckingham. There's a lot of historical parallels to our own reality in this wedding, obviously with Consuelo Vanderbilt and the Duke of Marlborough getting married. It was a heavily covered wedding back in the day. It was so grand that Vogue dedicated, sounds like it's almost an entire issue in November to this wedding. So with that being said, how much did you all feel like you had to balance what we know based on the research versus what you all need to tell what that was written on the page?
The Consuelo Vanderbilt wedding was definitely a huge inspiration for our wedding. It was the wedding of the century. Here in our story, it's also the wedding of the century.
Mm-hmm.
Gladys's character resonates the story of Consuelo, but it's not directly a representation of that story, but it's definitely inspired by that story. That wedding of Consuelo also happened years later within our timeline. So there's very different silhouettes, very different shapes, but I think that it was definitely an opening of the door to the research of how to approach that wedding. At the same time, as we always do, we dove into several wedding scenarios that we could portray from royalties and from weddings of extravagant, very glamorous weddings from that period. And there was so many fun discoveries, like the bridesmaids in white. That was, I didn't expect that, because that's something that doesn't live necessarily in our vocabulary. There's also I found a picture of a dress that Gladys's dress was based on, which shocked me in the simplicity of the silhouette and elegance and beauty, and that we knew that we have to create this moment of power, elegance, innocence, and this transition to different life and different status, and that I felt called for all those elements. Sometimes it's difficult to talk about it, of the visual elements, how they come together, but they all steeped in several elements that added up to creating that look for Gladys. Um, that our whole design studio was surrounded by wedding illustrations, wedding pictures. There was also the discovery of white. White was emerging as the main wedding dress. Like in this previous season, we married Ada in a day dress. That was a
Yeah.
very common style of wedding, when there is colorful dress with white veil. Moving on to Gladys, we knew that it was the big glamorous weddings did have a lot of white dresses and enormous trains. We based the length of the veil based on Consuela's veil, which was, I want to say 15 feet or
Oh, wow.
16 feet. I cannot remember right now the number, but we just like
It was
precise.
big.
We're reproducing exactly the size of the veil, but at the same time, I felt that my job was to create this spectacular moment for camera, for the church, for all the elements that came together. We were measuring the size of the aisle and realized that our veil needs to become smaller. It cannot be
That's
huge
hilarious.
with all the ornamentation. We had to make adjustments. We collaborated with Bob Shaw, the production designer, and our millionaires, Camilla and Ryan, worked on it, and Subaku and her costume makers team. It was a huge effort of all the parties. We worked with Torelli on the dress. We had a lot of amazing, beautiful makers that contributed to this dress that I hope served the purpose.
I mean, it really did. And I just have to say, I love the fact that you all had to collaborate with production design just to fit this big
Yeah.
train down the aisle. I mean, shows how grand it really was.
And
Um,
the director of photography, we strategized quite a bit. Yeah, it was quite an enterprise.
yeah. And Thaisa Farmiga was quoted as saying that getting into this costume, she had to feel very still. She ended up feeling very still and felt a little caged up in it, which really kind of helped add to this feeling of Gladys feeling very caged in her wedding. So I was just wondering, from a storytelling point of view, what did you feel like that dress was saying for Gladys's character?
I think that it was, it's a dress that is covering her high. Her neck is covered. The body is caged in lace.
Mm-hmm.
It's very tight fitting lace, and with this ornamentation, it's like she's carrying the world in this dress. She's carrying
Yeah.
a world of ornamentation and prestige and power. And I think that Gladys just is resurfacing from this young lady to become this duchess that we know she's resisting, she's hesitating, and she's not 100% sure she should be there. So adding this enormous uh, volume of dress and train is challenging.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is challenging. I think it's for many brides. I think that moment is very challenging, and I think that's. I feel like always the wedding dresses translates to this emotional dimension. It is really, a lot of the times it's not about the dress. It's about everything else that is happening in the wedding, that is manifesting in how people carry it. And I always felt that designers who design wedding dresses have this enormous capacity of deal with this emotional load of what weddings mean to a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. And we were lucky because it's a character, so it's not the emotions that comes with this wedding comes from the point of view of the character, rather than all the stories that come a lot of the times with the
Yeah.
wedding attires.
Yeah, I mean, it carried a lot of physical weight and emotional weight with this
Yeah.
wedding. Everyone seeing her walking on the aisle, it was quite beautiful. Everyone seemed very amazed, but you could see on her face that she was really, kind of suffering on the inside. Speaking of all the people at the wedding, I'm guessing you must have had an army behind you to prepare this episode,
Yes.
because not only was there Gladys in the wedding dress, which so much conversation about, there was also all the principal characters there looking incredible, and also the background behind them too. So can you tell me a little bit about your crew that helped make this all
Yes.
happen?
I love talking about the crew. We have the best. I always say the best crew in the entire world. It's you know we I don't do this by myself, as we all know. We don't function by ourselves. We work with incredibly talented team of people. Isabel Simon, associate designer, who is, we call her the general. She strategizes the whole operation. She strategizes. Basically, my job is to deliver the designs and execute the designs, but Isabel is the one who is strategizing the whole operation of how, when, communication with the makers, communication with all the shoppers. We have one big open studio where we all talk to each other. None of us have separate studios because it's just such a giant beehive that we all communicate with each other. Becca Freund, who is an associate designer for backgrounds, she is in charge of the whole entire background setup and execution of the designs, and it's an enormous operation. We work with our supervisors, with background supervisor, shop supervisor, our costume supervisor is costumers on the set, costumers from the background world who show up at 2 o'clock in the morning and start dressing the guests. The schedule is extremely challenging on days on days like the wedding. It takes an army of extremely skilled people who are functioning like we have this giant beehive. We all are a part of this big machine, and we all rely on each other very much on the skills and decision making and common sense that steps into it. That we know that it takes just common sense how to execute this, plus the expertise of work for years to execute a giant scene like that.
It's none of it's possible without all of them, and everyone obviously works in such synchronicity because it just came together so beautifully. It's a huge operation. I'm sure it feels really, really massive when you watch it.
It's fun. Those days are super fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
We like
imagine.
them. We like those big giant days, but somehow I think people keep coming back to this show because those big days are fun. It's a lot of work, but extremely rewarding. Seeing it come to life, coming to the church, decorated with the flowers, with the Bob Shaw beautiful design of the church, with the priests and the background. It just becomes this giant spectacle that you're participating.
Yeah, which is why we're all on the couch every weekend watching it whenever it comes out. Let's talk about Bertha Russell, played by Carrie Coon, who's really become this standout star in the series. I mean, whenever Bertha's on screen, we're all just clamoring to see what she's wearing, what she's going to say, what she's going to do. Like, she captures our attention immediately. So, can you tell me a little bit about maybe the shorthand or collaboration you and your team have developed with Carrie in finding Bertha through the years?
Carrie is she is just this incredible force of talent, storytelling, and super fun on top of it. And that is just delightful collaboration that we have with Carrie. Carrie, also the way Carrie puts on the costumes and the way she walks through the stage is like she owns it in a way that is unprecedented. Like the way Bertha just says through the room, it's like she breathes so much life to the pieces. She makes them so glamorous. Like I can design, you know, the most outrageous Bertha costume, and Carrie possesses it.
Yeah.
That's the fun we do. I mean, a lot of those elements emerge in the fittings. Like I design a costume, and then we have 2 or 3 fittings. At this point, we're flying through those fittings because, as you know, we have so many of them, and that's when it develops. That's a relationship between the actor and the costume develops. That they get to know those costumes, they know what to expect. So on the day off, it's this force that happens between their personalities and they are them owning it, and it flies off.
And talking about someone else who really takes control of the screen, let's jump over to the end of the season when we see this another big scene, another big glamorous ball. There's actually two balls happening in
Oh
the
yeah, two balls
episode,
at the same time. Yeah.
but we won't get into that. Seeing Mrs. Astor, played by Donna Murphy, when she
Yeah.
arrives at that ball, I mean, I still
Yeah.
kind of get goosebumps when I watch it. It
Oh
is
my God. Donna
so
Murphy.
electric.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about that grand look? I mean, I know Mrs. Astor, she knows how to put on jewelry too. She was dripping in diamonds when we saw her too. She looked good.
Oh God, we are so lucky to work with this incredible cast. It's like I cannot name any specific person from this giant, enormous cast of talent. I mean, we have super powerhouses walking into our life every day, and
Yeah.
that's the incredible. They breathe in life and inspire the designs, and we establish a language for Donna. We know Donna very well. We know how Donna works now, and she's extraordinary particular, and it all serves the purpose of going deeper and deeper into the character. The fittings are magical. They are long. They are very, they are very focused, and Donna transforms. Donna transforms. I love photographing Donna during the fittings because she's Mrs. Astor.
Yeah.
She's she's Mrs. Astor in the fittings, and the way she presents the costumes and the way we fit. And there's something, it's something magical happens because there's not that much time of adjustment once the costumes are designed and submitted for the designs. But there's always the moment in the mock-up stage when we can still shift it a little bit. And with Donna, it's always there's always this magical moment when it shifts to this perfect space with her. So it's Mrs. Astor. She demands glamour, money, and jewels. So we keep exploring who can deliver more, what inspiration, where does the inspiration come from? And it's where can we dive into those pockets of the world who represented that?
Yeah.
So, of course, royalty serves the purpose. The jewelry is definitely inspired by several royals of the period, and it keeps the period keeps feeding us all the time. It's such a rich period, that has endless source material. That's why I think it's so fun to design it, because there's just so much there. It's a period of explosion, a period of when the artificial dyes happened. That gives this opening of the colors of the period, which is pretty incredibly and rich and powerful. It's a period of asymmetry. It's a period of organic draping, plus the traditional constricted forms. That combination is just so powerful and dynamic, and keeps feeding the design sources.
Yeah. I just love Mrs. Astor. I mean, I get it. If she were to walk in a room, I probably would have did whatever she said also too, because she just gives off the energy. It's so convincing. Kasia, this has been so much fun. For a final question before I let you go, with 3 seasons under your belt, well, actually 4, but we haven't seen the 4th yet. Why does the show continue to inspire you and your team? What keeps you wanting to come back for more each season?
That's a very good question. I never thought, because I come from movies, I've never done a long-running show. I was surprised how much I was drawn to this world. I think that there's something very attractive about becoming better at each stage at the job that you do. I think it's attractive to all of us on so many levels of what do you learn about your craft, how do you deepen your knowledge, how do you expand your relationships with all the makers, the fabulous makers that we are working with, the developing the language and craft and collaborations is extremely attractive. Working with this incredible team that loves this show so much, we became a family. So we became a family that gets to do extremely creative stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that being part of the source of creativity, it feeds people. We are there. It's a happy room here, so it's very attractive to come there's we always say we have this gorgeous studio on top of it that's full of light and in New York, and we feel very privileged and very lucky to be exploring, diving into history over and over again. We live in New York and we're exploring the history of New York. We're working with this most amazing cast. It's very difficult. I dive into movies in between the periods, and I think it's very healthy for our team. It becomes much smaller team. The movies are smaller than this giant operation that we have, and I think it's like a good breather and turning your head away to a completely different vocabulary and stepping away from it. I did the Bruce Springsteen movie, and the Wes Anderson and Pale Blue Eyes while we were shooting all the 4 seasons, and I think that that's been a very fun combination. But I am thrilled to come back to Gilded Age and keep exploring this period and keep mastering my craft.
It's so very exciting. Costume designer Kasia Walicka-Maimone, thank you so much for joining me. This has been such a joy. And I'm going to be watching season 4, just waiting, watching, seeing all the costumes and bothering you and texting you because I'm just so excited. We all are. Of course, congratulations.
Thank you. See you soon.
The Costume House with Spencer Williams is a production of The Art of Costume. This episode was hosted, produced, and edited by Spencer Williams. To discover more conversations with the designers shaping film, television, and theater, visit theartofcostume.com or follow us on social media at The Art of Costume. And don't forget to connect with me on Instagram at HostSpencer. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch on YouTube. And stay tuned for more episodes celebrating the designers shaping today's most captivating films, television series, and stage plays.